Howdy, y'alls. Me, Dr. Edwards, here to help you out with our first module on Anthropology 315, Anthropology and Contemporary World Problems. Now, you've already checked out my bio and all that, so y'all know that I'm an environmental anthropologist. So this sort of stuff is what I do for a living. Um, yeah, I'm not going to rehash our weekly readings, but I do want to take some time to highlight some really important concepts and give you some extra insights into some of the key issues that are highlighted in our readings. And this week, it outlines some of the major problems that we face, such as global warming, resource depletion, ecosystem degradation, poverty, conflict. Yeah. Well, oh, that's a real downer. I get that. I understand that. But the really cool thing is that anthropology is really well suited for not only understanding those things, but addressing those things. Okay. In fact, that's what I do. I work as a contract environmental anthropologist for a lot of international conservation groups, development agencies, things like that. But I don't want to go off on that right now. Right now, I want to focus in on some key things to kind of keep in mind in our first week's readings. First is the issue of scale. Right? Scale is, big, medium, small. Okay, think of it like that. There's not necessarily specific gradations, if you would, but look at populations, right? Small population, all right, like 20, 30 folk, all right, to large populations, millions of folks. All right, that should kind of get the idea across. And this other thing, all right, called progress. Okay, I got to use air quotes around that because progress is really relative, right? And actually, if we kind of peel the layers back on this idea of progress, we see that it's inherently linked to technology. Okay. Now, I don't want you. Let me give you a basic definition of technology. Technology is defined for anthropologists as knowledge, skills, and tools. Okay, it's not necessarily a smartphone. It's not necessarily a computer. It's not Wi-Fi. Those are all examples of different types of technology, but they themselves are not technology themselves. Rather, if you look at it from an anthropological perspective, knowledge, skills, and tools is pretty much everything that we make, right, and that we use. So in that light, a bow and arrow is really no different than a smartphone, right? They're both created through knowledge, skills, and tools. Okay? Now, to kind of highlight some of the key issues here, I'm going to give you two examples. All right, one of a small scale, all right, foraging type society, and one of the most famous, if you would, is a group called the Dobe Juhuwansi, and they live in the Kalahari of southern Africa. And we call them foragers because they directly subsist from their environment. They're not producing food. They're just going out and picking it up, right? Going out shooting a giraffe, going out picking nuts and berries, tubers, all sorts of things, right? But they're not growing this stuff. Okay. Moreover, they're a small-scale group, and there is no one in charge. There's not any person or group of people that decides, oh, this is what you got to do. Right? So authority is not centralized, right? It's actually diffuse. Everyone kind of has an equal say. It may be that some folks in the group have greater knowledge about certain things, and so folks may defer to them, right, given their expertise. But there is no, they don't have any direct power to enforce their actions. Okay. Now, this is really different from, say, a nation state, an industrialized nation state. In this sort of example, we're looking at a very large population, right, into the millions, and they produce food to support their ever-growing population, usually through industrialized agriculture, right? which also includes raising livestock. Now, what we see here is that because the population is ever expanding, it is constantly putting excessive strain on environmental resources such as fossil fuels. I don't want to get off on a tangent there, but the important thing here is to recognize that they're formulated on a excuse me, didn't mean to sneeze into the microphone. Got some major allergies going on here. Anyway, yeah, these nation states, these industrialized production systems, are going to be stratified. You're going to have individuals that control the means of production, those at the top, right, and those at the bottom that are subject to the means of production. They will often be labor. They will serve kind of intermediary positions, but those at the top, all right, are really in control. We might refer to them as elites. Was our textbook called High Net Worth Individuals, right? Was it HNWIs and like the Ultra HNWIs? Now, when kind of comparing these foragers to an industrialized society, foragers, they're egalitarian. They're not. No one is in charge, right? So in an industrialized system, you will have someone or a group of folks that are. Now, the really interesting thing is, so in this industrialized system, the folks at the bottom down here, okay, if they become conscious of their position, how come they don't get rid of the elite and just redefine the system? Well, this is this thing that we call hegemony. Okay, and hegemony is all about how the groups that have power, that control the means of production, it's essentially how they convince everyone else that they're essential cogs in the machine, right? And a really kind of fun way to look at this is to, if you watch TV, watch the shows and commercials during prime time, or well, any time I guess, but prime time in particular, because they're telling you what you need, right, and what your values are, and what you're supposed to achieve, keeping up with the Joneses, sort of thing, right? So yeah, that this hegemonic system is all designed to keep those in power, and those that are not in power, out of power. Now, there's some really great figures in this week's readings, and they really kind of underscore these concepts. We got figure 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4, and they do a really nice job of kind of outlining these relationships, and you're going to want to be really attentive to these throughout this course because it's a basic model that we work with. All right, so that's where I'm gonna leave this little intro announcement. I don't want to drone on and on and on and on, but I do want to reiterate that if you have any questions, any concerns, anything at all, don't you hesitate to get a hold of me, right? I'm here to help you guys out, right? If you want to set up a Skype meeting, we can talk, face to face, virtually. I'm happy to do that, right? Just email me a good time that works for you, and we'll make it happen, all right? Be sure to check out the rest of the announcement, and don't forget our first week's discussion. Thanks. Have a great one. Take care.